I'm Dr. Mahboob Zahid from Central University of Rajasthan. Indeed, it is great privilege to be here today and speak on the theme that is very close to my heart and very close to the future of our country. That is beyond English and Hindi, reclaiming knowledge system through vernacular pedagogy. So before going ahead, I would like to thank Dr. Shabina ma'am, convener of this program, for inviting me. I would also like to thank Kumar Ratnam sir, Dr. Pawan sir, Pardeep sir, Devendra Sahu sir, and all the participants who are present here for this program. Okay, so when I received this invitation from Dr. Sabina, I was thinking like she asked me to give a topic, and then I thought like what should I prepare for our talk, and then I think and then thought like okay, this will be the better topic according to the theme, so I decided this one. Okay, so before proceeding ahead, I would like to start with a phrase that that is dream language. So before proceeding, I would like to conduct a quick survey from the participants who are present here, right? This is not a big survey, it is only a uh, like three questions survey. So I would like to share my screen if it is possible from here. Uh, okay. So I hope my
Yes.
screen is visible, right? Here in this slide, you can see that there is a QR scanner. So all those who have their mobile can scan this QR, and then there will three questions will appear, right, that you need to answer. This will also show that how many participants are actually there.
शायद साहब अब मेरे तो मोबाइल पे ही चल रहा है तो मैं आपकी
Okay.
बात को फॉलो कैसे करूं?
No need to attend everyone, like it is just for participation of the people. It's not mandatory for everyone, right? So those who have access to like laptop and mobile, so if they have secondary mobile, they can answer.
Sir, it shows only one question in that, sir, in that link.
Is it is it showing only one?
No,
Okay,
no.
it will appear
Yes,
one after
sir.
another. So once you will answer, then the second will appear.
Okay.
Okay, so I think my screen is visible uh, till now. I have received like around 10 people have participated. 8 people or 8 or 10 people have participated. Okay, so here you can see that there are two two types of questions, you can say. Okay, which is like dream language. So the first one in which language you dream. So in that you can see that there are more people who have answered that in mother tongue. So mother tongue, like whatever language you speak, it may be Bhojpuri, it may be Bajika, it may be Hindi, it may be for some it may be English. Okay, so there are two people who have responded English and one as a regional language. Now, when we go to the second questions, in second question, in which medium school you studied, you can see that there are 4 who have answered that in English medium school. In English medium, they have studied. Only one have got their education in mother tongue, and then there are 2 response which says in regional languages. But when we talk about the language of dream, so the language of dream means in which language you want your child to study in. Okay, so I frame it like that. So mostly when you have inclination towards some language, then you will find it suitable for your offshoots, like what to select for as a medium of education. So here you can clearly see that more people are inclined towards uh, English language, right? So this inclination towards English language uh, is like you can say many things in support of that English language, why you are inclined towards English language. So you can say that, okay, it gives us global reach. It is a language that generates economy, brings it, fetches a good status in the society, and so etc etc. So all these things you can say in favor of this language. Okay, now let us think about our competency through, though we all are multilingual in these languages, right? So we are multilingual in India, but do we have competency in all those language? And what is the language in which we have more competency, right? So when we think about those things, then we find that sometimes, like the English language, the scenario of English which is here in India is like, okay, it is language of education, but the reality is that only 0.1% people have claimed this language as their mother tongue in India. And when we talk about like how many people can speak, so according to census, Indian census, there are only 16 to 70% people who can speak English. And so this is the scenario, the actual scenario in India, right? Okay, so having this in mind, I decided to think about like how we should proceed for about the language. Okay, so uh, okay, so while I was doing research regarding this, okay, and then I search about like what is the scenario in India. Am I audible to all you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so when I was researching for this, and then, okay, so let me share my PPT. Okay, my PPT is visible.
जी
So previously shared PPT shared.
Is it visible now?
Well,
Okay, let me.
The slides are not moving, sir. It shows only
Okay,
the previous questions and its results.
let me share. Okay, I hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Okay. Okay. So if you will look upon the scenario, which is in India about the English language. Okay. So all the states, like there is only few states in which 40%, like there is a Goa, Chandigarh, where more than 40% people speak English. Then there are some states like Nagaland, but in most of the state, it is less than 20%. Okay, and if you will look upon the Hindi, especially the Hindi states, so that includes Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, right? In all those states, it is less than even the 10% people who can speak English. So basically, the English speaker in India is very less, right? But when you will search for the English medium schools, what you will find that it is like in most of the South Indian state, it is the medium of education in English more than the any regional language. So this is one scenario. Another scenario is that like when you will search about 10 institute, 10 top schools, right? So for example, so what I have done, okay, so there are top 10 schools, and what is the medium of instruction? You can clearly see that in top 10 schools there are all schools which is English medium schools. The 10 plus 2 schools, the same scenario, like it is English medium school. Okay, so in this category, there is one school, 10 plus 2 school, which I can find, which was in Bengali medium school. Otherwise, most of the schools are English medium schools. So this is the situation of English in India. Okay, top 10 colleges, same. The answer you will get the same like English medium schools. So no matter where it is, whether it is in North India, whether it is in South India or in Northeast India. Okay, so the medium of instruction is throughout the country is English for top 10 schools, college, and same is for higher education institute. Okay, so when we move higher institutions, okay, we find the same situations like, okay, all schools are, sorry, higher institutes are, for example, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, medium English. Okay, so same is for every university, every college. So this is this shows our inclination towards English language, right? According to UDIS report, which was published in 2019 and 20, right? This is the situation of English medium schools in India. So in a state like Telangana, there are 73% students who are going to English medium schools. Andhra Pradesh, it is 66%. Tamil Nadu, it is 57%. Kerala 65. So, and in if we talk about North India, so it goes Haryana, Delhi, Punjab. They all have more than 50% English medium schools, or the students who are going to English medium schools, and it is fast shift towards English language, right? So the same report says like it was at least around 20% less in 2015 and 15-16. So in 5 years, there is a growth of 20% towards English language. This is the scenario. Now, let us think about Hindi, right? So as other people said in the inaugural session, that what is the conditions of Hindi? Hindi is a language, according to census, is a language that is spoken by 60% population of India, right? But which Hindi they speak. Okay, so this Hindi is not a single Hindi, but there are various dialect in Hindi language combined together. So for example, we have languages like Bundelkhandi, we have languages like uh, Braj Bhasha, we have language from Uttar Pradesh, which is included in Hindi, Khadi Boli, and other Awadhi Bhasha. All those are part of Hindi language. Similarly, when we take the situation of like Bihar, so in Bihar there are 4 or 5 major languages which is spoken. So that includes Bhojpuri, Mathili, Maghi, and other languages like Bajika. Okay, so all there is a speaker of all these languages. But what had happened in the census, like all these languages have been reported under Hindi language, right? So they are considered as a dialect of Hindi. Similarly, for Rajasthani, in Rajasthan also, we have language like Marwari, then we have language like Shekhawati and many others dialect which is there, which is considered dialect of Rajasthani, and then Rajasthani again is considered as a dialect of Hindi. So that has also been included in Hindi language, right? Similar situation is like Chhattisgarh. Okay, so Chhattisgarh, we all know that the languages which is spoken in Chhattisgarh is Chhattisgarhi, which is again part of Hindi language. So the language that we speak, the Hindi language which we claim is spoken by 60% is not the so-called standard Hindi. Okay, being a linguist, what I can say that there are hardly even 10% people who speak the so-called Hindi language in India, right? Then the question arises, what language they speak? Okay, so the language that they speak is like, according to linguists and like people like me who have worked on documentations of language, who claim it like this: whatever regional language they speak, that is the language they live in. Okay, so they're thinking the language of their in which they dream is their mother tongue, which is different from Hindi. So this is the situation in India. But our education system, our government policy is more inclined towards Hindi and English language, that we all evident, right? And as it is reflected in the survey, that most of the people like they are dreaming for English language, right? Though this is not their language. Clear? So in this situation, what should we do? Right, so that was the questions that came to my mind, right? Okay, so to discuss this, I brought some situations like if you can see this scenario. Okay, I hope my screen is visible, right?
जी सर दिख रही है.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can visualize a scenario, right? A picture of a classroom in township of Bihar. A young boy who has come from Hindi medium schools of a village to attend a class in English medium college of the township. The boy is sitting quiet, staring at science teacher delivering lecture entirely in English. He is bright, he is curious, but he is lost. The language of instruction and the language of the textbook is foreign to his home, foreign to his everyday life. Okay, so if you can see these situations, you can realize, many of you can realize these situations, and you can recall whether it was the situation for you or not. Okay, so for some people it is the situation like that. Okay, so this scenario you can consider like that boy who is there is me, who came from a Hindi backgrounds and took admission in English medium college, where the lecture was delivered in English, and I was lost not because I was not aware about the concept and other things, but I was lost because of the medium of instruction which was there. right? Then you can think about the second scenario. The second scenario is visualize another classroom, perhaps in Jharkhand. A child is being taught physics in Hindi, again a language that may not be her own. She memorize the content, but does it speak to her live reality? Okay, so this is not their lived reality, because if you are aware about the situations like Jharkhand and situation like Chhattisgarh, okay, uh, how many participants are from these two states? Is there anyone? Okay. Okay, so let me proceed. So if we, even if you are not from these two states, those who are aware about these two state, they know that the linguistic situation of Chhattisgarh and the linguistic situation of Jharkhand is different from the linguistic situation of you can say Uttar Pradesh or Madhya Pradesh. Why I'm saying this? Because in these two states, there are the languages which is not Indo-Aryan language. So there are different family, language family in India. Indo-Aryan language family, Dravidian language family, Austroasiatic, Tibeto-Burman, and Andaman Nicobarese language families are there, right? So when there are languages which are from same language family, so for example, in North India, mostly we have Indo-Aryan languages. So that includes all Rajasthani, Hindi, Urdu, and Punjabi, etc. So these languages are related languages. So we understand these languages very easily. There is no, whether we are a speaker of Punjabi or not, but we understand something which is in spoken in Punjabi, right? So for me, Punjabi is as alien as Rajasthani. So it is not very alien, like there is mutual intelligibility to some extent, right? But the situations of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh is different in a way, like there are different language families spoken. Okay, so when a language we encounter which is from different language family, right? So it is very difficult to understand, and like there is less mutual intelligibility, like we cannot even understand 10% of that language, right? So for example, all those who belong to North India, okay, probably might have encountered a situation in which they have met with some people who are from South India, or they might have went there to South India, and they might have realized that they are not able to understand any of South Indian languages, right? So whether it is Tamil, whether it is Telugu, right, whether it is Kannada, okay, so they all looks alien to us, right, for North Indian people. Similarly, so in Jharkhand and in Chhattisgarh, there are languages from both, Indo-Aryan language family, and then from Dravidian language family. And same is in Jharkhand. In Jharkhand, you have Austroasiatic language. Okay, so Santali is there, which is not an Indo-Aryan language family. So that is entirely different language. Okay, but despite of having Santali, which is second largest language spoken in Jharkhand, but the medium of instruction in Jharkhand is Hindi. Okay, so Hindi, and then like there are many schools which are more inclined towards English. So English is there, but not the Santali language, right? So as Santali is difficult for us to converse, similarly, this is the situation for Santali also. Santali are not well acquainted with Hindi language, but still they are being taught in Hindi. So Hindi is a language which is not their own. They are not the language in which they dream. Okay. Similarly, in Chhattisgarh, what is the medium of instruction? The medium of instruction is again Hindi and English languages mostly. But the reality of the reality is there is that like there are languages like Gond, which is spoken in Chhattisgarh. Okay, so Gondi language is basically Dravidian language, right? So a child from Dravidian language cannot acquire Hindi language very easily, but they are being taught that language there, that is as a medium of instructions. Okay, so having all those situations, I uh, uh, and then third scenario, the third scenario is like now a picture another classroom, say in Japan or in USA, right? A child of the same age studies complex concept of science and literature, but in his mother tongue, that is Japanese in Japan and English in USA. He doesn't have to fight the language first before he can fight to the idea. Okay, so in these situations, which is you can say of Japan or USA, they are the students are being taught the in their mother tongue, right? So their mother tongue, whether it is Japanese, whether it is uh, English. Okay, so they understand it very easily, very comfortably, right? In compared to us who fight. Okay, the report which I have shown, right, towards the English medium school, that report itself says in India, in most of the schools which are English medium school, they teach uh, mostly in Hindi, right, or the regional language, right? So because of the not very much like training is there in English language. So though they are English medium school, but they teach in local languages, right? All these situations which I mentions like makes the situation which is like we learn English, okay, somehow we make it our language of educations, right? Similarly, our government try to push up Hindi, okay, we impose Hindi, right? So there are, I mean, in in case of Hindi and regional language, you can say that it is kind of imposition, right? But in case of English language, it is different. The situation of English language is like, it is not a kind of impositions, but it is a choice. Most of us uh, adopt English language as a choice. It is not the government which push up for English language. So there are there is two terminology used in social linguistics, right? One is national language policy or planning, and another is family language policy and planning. Okay, so national language policy and planning, we all have heard about like NEP 2020, right? This NEP 2020 highlights the need of the regional languages. Education should be, it promotes regional languages. It gives three language formula. So it promotes three language formula, and the formula is that like the education, the initial education should be given in uh, vernacular language. You can say the language of the child, the language of the dream language for child, you can say a language in which the child dream. Okay, and then the secondary education should be given in regional language, and then finally their gradual shift towards English language. Okay, so three language formula promotes three language, right, at different level, right? So that is the government policy. But another is like, what about our family? Okay, family language planning. So our family, so for example, whoever have given answer to that questions, what, in which medium you want your child to study, that shows your family planning, right? What are we are inclined towards, right? So we are inclined more towards English language, and this shows this is not a imposition but the acceptance. You accept that language, right? So I'm not challenging that acceptance, because this is the scenario anyone will accept. I mean, in the present scenario, anyone will accept that English is the better language, it gives global reach, and etc etc, right? So here what I want like the government should plan in a way that the promotion can be done for English, uh, for regional language, not for English, right? If if you all are aware about the history of English, right? English was the imposition of English was done in 1835 with the British, uh, Britishers, like they come up with an education policy in which it was made a mandate for people to study English language. Okay, in 1835, they try to like make a populace from India who can speak English, and then they can promote the British culture and other things. Okay, at the time of colonization. Okay, and then gradually this, I mean, people adopted that because of various reasons, and then it becomes the I mean the future of, you can say, or the destiny of our country, that nowadays it is flourishing more than any other language. So still in like after the 70 or 80 year of after independence, we are more uh, colonized towards language, though we are not the colony. Okay, so in this scenario, what I purpose is like the linguistic, here the linguistic point of view, what linguists think about vernacular language, right? And why we should promote vernacular pedagogy. Okay, so what I mean by vernacular pedagogy here, or the knowledge, so there are certain terms in my topic. One is the knowledge system. Okay, so what is this knowledge system? What is vernacular pedagogy? That I will further proceed with. Okay, so a knowledge system, that we all know, refers to the organized structure through which knowledge is created, preserved, transmitted, and applied within a society or community. Okay, so this is the knowledge system. It includes method, belief, language, practice, and institution that shape how people understand and interact with the world. A knowledge system is a way group of people know, learn, share what they know through oral tradition, written text, experiment, technology. Okay, so knowledge, every culture, there are I mean the system of knowledge differs in different culture, right? So different culture means, like if you will go for a tribal regions. Okay, so tribal region, there are different uh, for example, there is there is a tribe in Bhili who play a drum in different way for different occasion, right? So there is a knowledge of playing drum in that. Okay, so they were like they use it as instrument which was for informing uh, various occasion and other things. So that thing, so their knowledge is different, okay, in compared to the British knowledge, right? But if we will talk about the knowledge system uh, today, what is the mindset? The mindset is source of when we talk about source of knowledge. Okay, so source of knowledge, we always more inclined towards Western text. Western text means when we study history, okay, we are more inclined towards the Western text. When we are into uh, science, or we are into any other knowledge, okay, we always look towards Western text, and we have forget about our own text. So if suppose if we want to study the knowledge, I mean, we want to take informations about Golconda Fort, which is there, which was there in medieval period. So despite having the Indian sources on that, from where the Western people have drawn their text, okay, we still look for Western text, not our own. So we have forget about our own text. Okay. Then the education, when we mode of transmission, we think about mode of transmission. So we look for formal education. Formal education means a school and other things. But what we have forget about our indigenous uh, mode of transmissions, right, which was there. Okay. So there are many things which is not which has not come through the formal educations like this schooling system. Okay. Institution, when we talk about institution, we are more inclined toward English schools or English universities, and we have forget our Gurukul system and other where the value based education was given, right? Similarly, when we talk about language, so what had happens, like we have forget about our language, we neglect our language, and we are inclined towards English. Okay. So all these, okay, so all these scenario have put us, the Indian, in a situations where we neglect Indian knowledge resource, we neglect informal educations which was there, we neglect Gurukul and madrasas, we neglect regional languages, right? Okay. So neglecting all those languages and other things, okay, has made us a second class, you can say, acquirer of the language, right? Second class acquirer. Why I'm saying this second class acquirer? Because in scenario where it is not your mother tongue, in which you are being taught, so you cannot acquire the concept. Okay. So usually what happens when you teach people in English language, right? So when you teach in English language, then most of the time what happens, the child will be fighting for the concept, like what is this, they will not understand that concept because because they have not lived in that language. Okay. So so that becomes like, that creates alien like situations to them, like that language becomes alien, they cannot understand. Okay. But when it is taught in mother tongue, obviously some can relate with their live situations. Okay. Sometimes what happen, uh, during my class teaching, what I have realized, uh, our higher education is happening in English language. Okay. We teach in English language, and when we ask them generally like a simple questions like, okay, what is the scope of okay, so for example, let's take example of my discipline, which is linguistics. Okay. So what happens, like most of the time when we ask what is linguistics and what are the scope of linguistics as a discipline, right? So most of the times what the a student respond on that question is like, in the scope they will write what is the application of linguistics, and they will not write the domain which we discuss in linguistics. Okay. But the reality that the meaning of the scope is not the scope that everyone, like the general people knows about. Okay. So they respond a scope as a something which is the application of linguistics, and they didn't discuss the range, which I mean the this subject matters which is there. Okay. So that happens because they are unable to understand the layer of the meaning attached with that. They understand only the meaning, one side of meaning, you can say. Okay. So every words have different meaning. Okay. So that is being defined by context, but that context you cannot understand in a language which is not your mother tongue. Okay, so this is the situations. Okay, what is there in the language, in these languages. Okay, okay, so neglecting these language like the vernacular language, there are several drawback, you can say, in these languages. Okay, what are the drawback? Okay, so before we will discuss that, but before that, I would like to mention like what is the vernacular language. Okay, and what is the vernacular pedagogy. So what is vernacular pedagogy and how it will serve the purpose? So here, vernacular pedagogy is used here to refer to the local theories of knowledge that community activate as constituent of classroom practice. Okay, so the classrooms that is there, so which should adopt a language which is very close to the student. They have like the language in which they have lived in. Okay, so it can be, I am not saying that it should not be English, right? There are many families uh, who prepare or who make their student, their child, to acquire English language as a first language. Okay, so that obviously that will become the first language for them. Okay, but that is not the reality of everyone, because as I mentioned in previous slide, that there are only 0.1% population who have claimed that English is their mother tongue. Okay, so obviously if it is that situations, and then I mean only 17% people are there who can speak English. Okay, so it cannot become the mother tongue of more than 10% people. Okay, so no one in the community gives English language as a mother tongue. Okay, so initial language um, should be that. Okay, so the language in which they have lived in. Okay, okay, so why I am saying that the it should be given that language, because as mentions, in region like Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, where Austroasiatic and Dravidian languages are spoken by a predominantly large population, education continue to be delivered primarily in Indo-Aryan language, thus perpetuating Mohanty's double divide between dominant and minoritized languages, right? So there is a like division of that. Okay, so that will create a gap between the speakers of that language. Okay, and the education system. So that is the situation. Okay, okay, here you can see what is the what I mean by vernacular language. Okay, so vernacular language, you can refer regional dialects like what we have mentioned, Chhattisgarhi and Bhojpuri, Avdi, Braj, all those are ethnic groups. Okay, then there are Pidgin and other things which is there. Okay, so whatever is mother tongue, whatever is mother tongue, that should be. So for two terms, which is Creole and Pidgin. Okay, Creole and Pidgin, like situation is not in India, right? But that situation is there in Mauritius, in country like Mauritius. In country like Mauritius, people from India have gone to those country, okay, Mauritius and Suriname, etc. Okay, during the colonial period. Okay, so Bhojpuri speaker, Haryanvi speaker, and many other Indo-Aryan speakers have moved to that those country during the colonial period. They went there with their mother tongue, which is Bhojpuri, and then Bhojpuri, along with the local language, created a kind of pidgin, a pidgin which is a contact language over there. Okay, and then gradually pidgin, when the pidgin developed, it is considered as a Creole. Okay, so Creole becomes Creole is like more towards a language. Okay, so it is more complex, more other things. So that has become the mother tongue of the child of those migrants who moved from Bhojpuri and Haryanvi speaking region to those places like Suriname and other countries. So there, it is not a dialect of Bhojpuri, or there it is not a dialect of Hindi, but it is a language which is developed from Bhojpuri uh, um, and the local language, right? So mix up of those two languages, right? So it is different from Creole, and that can also be considered as a vernacular language of that society there in Suriname. Okay. Okay, so if we talk about the history of vernacular education and why I am say I'm having my words in favor of that, because if you will go in the past, like how our educations happen in the past, okay, you will find that uh, the population of India got uh, like educated in vernacular language, not in like the so-called English language or any other the so-called sophisticated language. Okay, so for example, when we go back in the Sufism period, okay, so there were people like Amir Khusru, okay, and Amir Khusru, who wrote their the writing which he adopted for his writing, okay, was Hindavi. Okay, so Hindi, they wrote in Hindavi during that period. And why they, and though at that time the language of the elite was Persian or Arabic. Okay, so though having Persian or Arabic as their the language of education at that time, but he promotes Hindavi language. So he was writing in Hindavi language, right? Why he was writing? Because that was the language which the mass can understand. Okay, so for the understanding of mass, he used that language at that time. Okay, so and the so because of all those, what happens, like people get inclined towards that Sufism and other things, and there are many things happen in favor of that. Okay, so that is there. Okay, so so what I think, like when you disseminate the education in English language, right, it becomes like some sort of hurdle for local people who do not acquire English as a mother tongue. Okay, so it put a kind of burden to them. They cannot bear it very easily. Okay, okay, so that's why it should be given. The education should be given in their local mother tongue, you can say. Okay, whatever, I am not saying like what will be the mother tongue. It can be any, like any dialects of Hindi or any other language that they speak. If we talk about benefit, okay, so what is the benefit of this pedagogy, like vernacular pedagogy? So if we look for the benefit, it is like positive influence on learning outcomes. Obviously, uh, when you will give education in mother tongue, so what will happen? Like there will be they will not feel disconnected from the subject matters which is there. They will they can apply it. Okay, it is like it is beyond the rote education systems, you can say. So it will be beyond the memorizations. Like, so what is the scenario in our place nowadays is like though the childrens are into English medium and even in Hindi mediums, which where the Hindi is alien to them, there are many things which is not uh, in Hindi also, which is not used in day to day their conversations, okay, by Hindi, by the local language speakers. So sometimes Hindi also become the alien language to them. Okay, there are many, I mean, even for us, many a times when we study Hindi texts and other things, okay, so that text becomes alien because of the certain jargons which is there, which we cannot understand, very Sanskritized and sophisticated jargons which is there. Okay, so that makes us like we cannot, if we cannot understand that, we cannot connect with that. Okay, and obviously that will influence the outcomes. Okay, outcomes will be not that favored as it could have been in mother tongue. Okay, though another aspect of this situation is that uh, the the scenario which in which we live, we are more inclined towards English language. Okay, so gradually what happens, like we forget our mother tongue to some extent, we forget our regional language to some extent, and then we also we are not very much competent in English also. Okay, so all this scenario impacts our learning outcomes for sure. Okay, student participation. Student participation is another a very challenging situations here. Like when you are lost, if you are not understanding something which is in a language that is not your own language. Okay, so it creates a hurdle to students. Yes.
Please continue, sir.
Okay, so it creates a hurdle to a student. They do not participate, right? To overcome rote memorizing. So rote memorizing, like we are just into like when that those languages are alien to us, we memorize, we didn't understand, and when we didn't understand, we do not apply those knowledge in our day-to-day use. Okay, dropout rate, maintenance, like when you are teaching uh, in vernacular languages, then what will happen? So obviously the dropout rate will maintain. Dropout, why and the drop rate maintain? Because when the student participation will increase in the study, if they will feel connected with all those things, so obviously they will like we will be regular. Okay, promoting equality, accessibility, and inclusivity. Okay, so this vernacular pedagogy also promotes equality to all, right? So there will be no mass disconnect, you can say. Okay, so it gives equality to so suppose the scenario like Jharkhand and the Chhattisgarh again. Okay, so if the student of Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand will be given education, suppose in Gondi, which is the language that is spoken in Chhattisgarh, to Gondi speakers, and then the student of Santali who are from that Jharkhand will be given education in Santali language. Okay, that will promote Santali language, right? It will become accessible to others, which is whoever is there, and it will increase the inclusivity of the society. Okay. Other thing is what happens in the scenario like India, where we have multiple language, right? For example, so like most of the people who are here in North India, okay, uh, due to the policy or whatever you can say, due to the situation which is there in North India, we acquire and learn three languages, right? So we acquire and learn three languages. I am multilingual. So I am multilingual in the sense like I speak mother tongue, which is there. Okay, so in my case, for example, it is Bajika. Okay, then I learn Hindi during my school days. So the Hindi become second language, you can say. and then the third language is English. And along with that, what happens, like sometimes we learn our classical languages like Sanskrit. Okay, sometimes we due to some other reasons we learn languages like Urdu. Okay, so all these scenario create a situation in which we acquire and learn uh, three or four or maybe sometimes more languages. Okay, due to this what happens, uh, due to this what happens, like the brain, the cognitive load on the brain increase, right? So cognitive load increase because we I mean, according to the theories of multilingualism, multilingualism, it is said that you cannot have equal competency in all the language that you speak. Okay, so obviously it will it will increase your cognitive load on your brain, though our brain is, there is a elasticity in our brain which enable us to acquire more and more language. We can uh, increase the capacity of our brain, but that increasing is not like to any extent you cannot increase. And this is the reason that uh, despite of learning languages like three four languages, our competency is not I mean we are not fluent in all the language equally. Okay, so sometimes you, when you are more inclined to English, your you will become a little more competence in English language, and in another situations you will be you probably you will become fluent in Hindi but not in English and your mother tongue. Sometimes happens like you might you can fluent in your mother tongue but not the other tongue. Okay, so so this is one situation. Another situation, like it why I'm saying this, optimize the cognitive load, because the pressure of uh, recalling is optimized. Okay, optimize in a sense, like when you have you have adopted your mother tongue. Okay, mother tongue for education. So what will happens, like in mother tongues we have multiple way of expressing our feeling. Okay, so we have alternate way in which we can express our feeling. Okay, so for example, to ask someone like how are you. Okay, so in English we will have some certain set of phrase that we utilize, but in Hindi or in any mother tongues that we speak, we can ask it in several uh, several way. Okay, so these are the things which I wanted to this talk about. Okay, so in this scenario, like in this scenario, what I feel it is for a country like India is that the education should be given in mother tongue. Okay, mother tongue, why? Because it is it will be, it is more democratic, right? It enhance the inclusivity. Okay, it enhance the participation of the students. Okay, and we should think about the policy in which we are more inclined towards English language, right? So this is all about from my side. If any query, anything.
Thank you so much, sir. I request all the participants, if you have any question, please unmute your mic and ask. So there are some questions in the chat box. Shall I read?
Yes, sure.
So one question is from Mr. Afzal Khan. He's asking, what role can translation and digital media play in strengthening vernacular scholarship?
Okay, so if we go for like the history of vernacular. Okay, so what happens in the history also, like when the printing and the Renaissance, during the Renaissance, Renaissance period, what happened? The printing press and other things came in existence, right? And when these printing press came in existence, then what happens? Like uh, uh, the writings become available for all other languages. So people start printing in the regional languages, which is the vernacular language. So one aspect is there, right? Then in colonial period, what happens? In colonial period, like the situation appear like they colonial power uh, try to impose their colonial language like English and French. Okay, so because of that, even you can see today that there are many places where English is dominating. Okay, because of that colonial times policy and planning. Okay, nowadays when we talk about uh, the technology which is there. Okay, nowadays technology is there. Okay, which is very helpful in preparing the materials and other things in the local vernacular languages, right? So earlier, like nowadays, for example, the translation. Okay, so translation is something which we required sometimes. Okay, for making materials in regional languages, and of course that task has become very easy nowadays because of the technology. Okay, so we have AI and other platforms where we can easily translate. Apart from that, if we talk about, like there is a government division where the creation of scientific and technical terms is happening. Okay, so in the creation of scientific and I mean, in language, what becomes difficult for us? The terminology which is there. Okay, so scientific terminology uh, is there, which creates problem for us. Okay, whatever, like for example, nowadays uh, we have hashtag and so many other things are there in the social media. Okay, those terms we adopt it as it is, right? So technological things which is there, they can is I mean, you have translation and other platforms where you can take help of those technology and you can translate it easily in vernacular languages. So that kind of support uh, we get from technological innovation nowadays.
Okay, so thank you, sir. So one more question is there. Uh, like New Zealand revived Maori. How can
Maori,
India
Maori
Maori?
language.
Okay.
Yes.
How can India revive its endangered tribal languages?
See,
Endangered tribal languages.
okay. So, s- see, sometimes what happens in country like New Zealand, where that Maori language has been revived. Okay, okay. So there, the determinism, what kind of determinism a government have towards some language, right? So if you will look for you will go for the policy that is there. Okay, the policy is towards that, like Indian government says that education should be given in mother tongue, and then I mean later on the safety is towards English language, right? So that is the reason for those is like it will give uh, recognition to mother tongue. Okay, but along with that, what I have mentioned is like we have two type of planning. One is national language planning and another is family language planning, right? So family, if we will not think for family language planning, okay, and we will not think in that direction, then it will become very difficult, right? So what government is saying today, they are saying that you should learn in mother tongue, okay, or the regional language that is there, right? They are not promoting that much to English language, right? One aspect is that, but still we are more inclined towards English language. Okay, so it has also become the responsibility of the ethnic group or the uh, community who are there. Okay, for example, when I was working in Chhattisgarh on language like Gondi, which I mentioned in my talk. Okay, so the speaker of the who were there, okay, they were more inclined towards Hindi, right? The reason of being inclined towards Hindi was because they think that okay, it was same situations like we are more inclined towards English in metropolitan city or in city. Okay, so we are more inclined towards, we think that it will give recognition, it will give a status, it will give global reach. So in the same way, those Gondi speakers thinks like, okay, Hindi is a language which is spoken throughout Madhya Pradesh, even throughout like Chhattisgarh and North India. Okay, so it will fetch us better economy, right? Better prospect. Okay, so whatever we feel for English, that was their feeling for Hindi language, right? So in that's why they are shifting. So it is very honestly speaking, it is very challenging, okay, to to maintain that situations. Okay, so uh, the participation, everyone participation is required, like the community and the government policy, okay, should be in that directions.
So one more question is there, sir. How can we prevent vernacular pedagogy from being romanticized or limited to cultural nostalgia?
Once more.
Uh, uh, how can we prevent vernacular pedagogy from being romanticized or limited to cultural nostalgia?
Okay, so one uh, in like if I have understand the question well, okay, so see, every language have its own cultural things which is there. Okay, and then there is different the way of expressions which are there, right? So when we write something, okay, literary things, when we write, okay, so we consider that like we are writing, we have literature in Hindi, we have literature in Urdu, okay, so there are literature in English language, okay, but we think that there is no literature in vernacular language, but that is not true. Okay, the vernacular language also have their own way of literature, okay, which is folk literature, you can say. Okay, and that is full of everything which you claim in so-called the super languages like Hindi and other things. Okay, so there is also like uh, folk songs and other folk traditions are there, okay, which is towards that, right?
One more question by Abu Saad Sheikh. How can we came up with this challenge when students change teaching language from mother tongue to English or regional languages?
Again.
How can we came up with these challenges when students change teaching language from mother language to English or regional languages?
uh, See, there are two things which we need to differentiate. One is like the policy, the adaptations of the mindset. I talk about the Indian mindset. Okay, so what is the mindset, and then what is the linguistic reality? Okay, so if we talk about the linguistic reality that you learn better in your mother tongue. Okay, any concept, any things you will learn better in your mother tongue, right? And then your mind is like towards English language, like, so you think that okay, it will give better opportunity, better prospect. Okay, so we are in the dilemma. Okay, dilemma of whether we should go with this, or if we will be going with the vernacular language, then what will be happen, like we will be far behind in compared to those who are in other medium schools, right? So in this dilemma, what happens, like there is a term used in economics or in share market, okay, the fear of the missing out. Okay, so there is a fear of the missing out, like if my kids will not study in that language, then we will be missed out from the opportunity which is associated with that particular language. Okay, so here the role of government becomes very important. Okay, why I'm saying the role of government becomes very important, because if you will fetch the history of English language in India, so what happened at that time? At that times, the person who imposed that English language, what the policy he brought was that, like, he has stopped giving a scholarship, he has stopped giving many other things which was given to the regional languages at that time, and those all scholarship and other things was diverted to English language, right? So if the government think in that way, right, if they think like, okay, we are actually we want to promote regional language, then they will have to do something like that. Okay, so the the jobs and the other I mean, which we consider as a like inclining tools, okay, which make us incline towards something. Okay, so all those can be diverted to the regional language, then only it is possible, I think. Otherwise it will always prevail that the missing fear of missing out will prevail.
So two more questions, Sada, shall I ask?
Yeah, sure.
So, it is by K. Piranin. If colonization not happen in India, what is your common language?
See, before that colonizations, right, the language which was there, okay, so the Hindustani in, I am talking about particularly about North India, okay, the so-called Hindi belt which is today, right? So the language which was there was Hindustani language, and then there was many regional languages which is there in, I mean, across the India. We all know that in India we have like there are more than 1500 mother tongues, right? And out of those 1500 mother tongues, there are 22 scheduled languages, right? So scheduled languages are there, and those scheduled languages, as mentioned by many of our speakers before, that the reality is what? We are not a speaker of any one language. So there was not like the future of India was not only one language, right? We are, so the second language, which is second most spoken language in India, is Bengali, and Bengali is a language spoken by, I mean, in the world level it is fifth largest language or sixth largest language in the world, right? So we have not one language, okay, there are many languages which was there, okay. Like, you know, I mentioned about those bhakti movement happen, right? So in during the bhakti movement, okay, the educations was imparted and all those literature was written in the regional, at that point of time it was regional, you can say that variety dialect, it was not a language. They become language later on after those uh, writings and other thing. Okay, so people start writing in Kannada, I mean Kannada become Kannada because of those bhakti movements, because people wrote in that language. Okay, so that these languages are result of vernacular pedagogy, right? So we have, I mean, these much of language in India today because of that vernacular pedagogy. Okay, so it was not like the future of India was not one language but many language in different region of the country.
So we have a question by Vaishali Shuredhar. How can we solve the problem of those students who is not familiar with English from childhood and want to associate with English language, but they face a lot grammatical problem?
Vernacular education. So this is the reality, like what happens. See what once I heard a kid was studying, like my niece was teaching to a kid, and what he was like reading, he was all the times he will say like, okay, uh, you might have encountered a word like e say ik, you know. So ik is a sugar cane which is there, okay, and sugar cane in Bihar is said as ook, right? So it is ook, not ik, okay. And all the times whenever he was instructed ise ik, he will read it ise ook, right? So that is the influence of mother tongue that happened, that always happen, and that will happen, right? So I mean, I'm not from education, so how to overcome that? Okay, but I think like to avoid that, we should consider vernacular education.
Sir, this is the last question. Sir, what challenges do educators face when implementing vernacular programs, particularly regarding the standardization and teaching training?
Okay, in this prospect, why what I feel like sometimes what happen, there are we have many terminology, many jargons related to particular domain. Okay, so for example, when we are doing uh, chemistry, we have different chemistry notions which is there. When we are doing political science, then also there are many political science terminology, psychology, and all those like domain of study which is there. They have their specific uh, jargon, right? And the searching equivalent for those jargons become difficult for us, right? And what happens, like we try to translate all those jargons into the vernacular language, right? At this respect, what I feel, we should adopt a certain um, like methodology like Japan has adopted. Okay, so if you will go and look for the Japan, okay, so their Japanese uh, I mean, they are more inclined towards Japanese in compared to any other like English and other things, right? So they were inclined towards Japanese, but they were not more inclined towards translating all those technical and scientific terms into the mother tongue. What they did, they just adopted those technical terms in their language, right? And as a result, what happened, like now if you will fetch for the writing system of Japanese, it is written like there are three writing system in one, right? I mean, the Japanese writing system is made up of three writing system. Okay, so the three writing system is adopted in one single writing system. So they write in kanji, they write in there are three other. Okay, so the kanji they write because of the uh, Chinese influence. Okay, katakana is because they are native, and then there is one another way of writing which is for English or foreign words, right? So they adopted that word as it is. Okay, so in their writing system there are three uh, altogether there are three writing system which is there. Okay, so here also to overcome that, I think we go in that way. Okay, so despite of creating jargon which is again the alien to us, we should go for adopting those technical terminology as it is. Okay, so
Thank you, sir.
so in my point of view, like gig today nowadays we have a term called gig worker. Okay, so gig worker should be adopted as a gig worker, not like we should not search for the translation of what is the translation of gig, right? In that way, I hope
Thank you,
this.
sir. Thank you so much, sir. Your work emphasize, like your talk emphasize on the vernacular pedagogies that are not about linguistic nostalgia, but about decolonizing classroom, empowering local epistemology, and reclaiming education as a participatory act. Thank you very much, sir, for that deeply reflective and thought-provoking section. You have beautifully captured the crux of your topic.
Thank you.
And I am unmute. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. But thank you, sir. Thank you. Your talk has set a perfect foundation for today's discussion. Thank you, sir.